Howdy y'all, been a while. Been working my tail off somewhat fruitfully. Kids are fed, thank the Lord. Many of you who watch this stuff, I'm sure, are kind of along the same lines, kind of in the same boat as far as the feeling of isolation, loneliness. I don't want to say a paranoid anxiety, but after a while of being tested and picked on demonically, let's be honest, that's what it is. It's not that you guys are crazy. Nobody here is crazy. It's that everything the devil does is just enough to make us question. At least that's his goal, is to make us question the Lord, not necessarily ourselves, although he definitely makes sure to put us in the mix of things as if we matter, right? Because the Lord's faithfulness has nothing to do with us, right? No matter how sinful we are, unless we decide to leave him, he is forever faithful. However, he will always be using that holy spur of his to put us back in line, and rightfully so. But it does become more and more like the valley of the shadow of death, as it says in the word very clearly, that it's like we're walking amongst a bunch of dead people, right? And we're living at a time now where things are becoming so incredibly, like, lukewarm it's a broad description. It's very appropriate, but unfortunately it just, once you're in it, of course, and maybe I'm speaking for myself, but it feels as though it's kind of beyond a bizarro world type description. It's a lonely, constant test where it feels like you're taking crazy pills. Let's be honest. Those of us who stay consistent and firmly put our foot on the Lord and his word, as far as where we stand, we've come to realize that the closer we get to the tribulation, the more alone we feel, right? And I deal with this, I battle with this on a regular basis. I don't quite get to the point of utter desperation, but there seems to be times where the Lord really allows, like you're a toothpaste bottle, and you're getting that last little bit squeezed out of you, and it's very, for what little emotions I have, emotionally painful. So I can only imagine what it's like for people that are high on the emotional spectrum and deal with a lot more feelings than someone like myself does. And I feel for you guys. That doesn't mean it's any, I think, less overall painful than it is for somebody like me. But, I still want that closeness and that feeling of community. And I do this because I believe church has withered into a disgusting, moribund mass that really doesn't teach hardly anything that the Bible wants us to know as far as learning, growing, and coming into our own ministry the way the Bible tells us we should. But I would love to be able to go to a church. I would love to be able to be around a bunch of people that are all en masse accepting the word and humbling themselves anytime they get that inkling that the Spirit is pointing them towards the proper direction. One thing that I think utterly defines Laodicea is the fact that we get this wild hair, wherever you want to imagine it, that if people are with us, or if what we say is popular, or if what we say gets followings on social media, or kudos from people that we intentionally surround ourselves with, those people ready to itch and scratch our ears, whether they're teachers or otherwise. And so many people claim to be teachers, but they can't actually fully explain the depths of things, because the truth is they don't want them. You guys have seen, well, Ecclesiastes, it talks about how everything is meaningless if there is no God. But then, the writer is left to ponder aghast as to why the wicked are prospered. Well, it's the exact same reason why heretics are prospered. It's because they have absconded their own conscience long enough and consistently enough that they have essentially followed what the devil has taught them versus what the Bible is trying to teach them. This doesn't mean they can't turn around and come back. It just means that they're really, really comfortable in the feeling of a warm blanket that surrounds them. And it's like a drug. And I know this because I used to enjoy a drug or two, and it really does make you feel like everything will be all right. You know something's wrong about the way that it feels, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you want to get rid of that feeling. It is quite potent. So if you're lonely out there and you're feeling like things are falling apart, you're feeling like every single time you put your foot down and do the right thing, you say what you know is actually true versus what is popular or what is demanded of you, because those two things are very different, and you end up tested, scorned, fighting with loved ones, financially insecure. It's all a shell game. It's all designed to freak us out. It's like Satan's not allowed to put direct hands on us, but he'll come up in front of us and shake his hands in our face going booga booga boo just as much as he can to get us to freak out, overreact, and get in our feelings. One of the biggest reasons, by the way, that I refuse to join any kind of what they call church today is because they emotionally manipulate you. You know, you go in there and you spend the majority of your time standing around, watching other people cry, singing, essentially getting into your feelings as much as you can. And I'll admit, I'll be the first to admit, I have a natural defense against these things. But I know humans. I've been around them for now 40 years, and I've been able to see how most people are controlled by their feelings. The feelings that I do have, anger, rage, resentment, and other things, they can control me too if I let them do so out of an arrogant, sinful desire to be correct. And so, although it's on the opposite spectrum of what most people deal with on a regular basis, even in my limited scope of ability, emotional expression wise, I do understand why it happens and why they get you ginned up. They literally get you in there and they fool you, and they make you think that, you know, those feelings of being high, let's be honest, are somehow representation of the spirit, and they demand that if you don't have these feelings, that you're somehow not one of them. So you're going to see more and more people sitting around getting lazier and lazier, indulging in the world and its excesses and nonsense and financial manipulation and emotional manipulations because, well, we don't have any work to do. There's a tribulational rapture coming. Just hold your hands up and don't expect any tribulation, as if they're greater than their master. Horrific and stupid. Or they're thinking, well, worst case scenario, I'll be in the tribulation. I'll be subject to all this. I'll have to get the mark. Everything will be fine because it doesn't matter what I do. I'll always be saved. Totally ignoring the fact that if you take the mark, or if you reject him and leave him and decide to no longer accept him as Lord, Savior, God, you know, that you're lost. And there's more coming. The way things are shaping up, I hear more and more, you know, Babylon is Russia, you know, the Antichrist is Middle Eastern, you know, Elon will save us. That's funny. And it's just going to get worse. And what we need to do is accept, and it is, guys, it is so still. It almost feels like a trick, and it feels as though God doesn't want to take away these harsh feelings of loneliness. And in a lot of ways, it's not appropriate. If you think about what's coming, we're going to have 7 years of the worst kind of loneliness ever. It's going to be preceded by this unprecedentedly prosperous time where we get this feeling like everything might be okay, and then boom, it's all gone. Christianity is essentially anathema. It's going to be the most unpopular thing in the world, and we're going to be held to the most loneliest of existences in the history of the world. So in a lot of ways, although you may not know it, your loneliness, your emotional deprivation, your social isolation, your financial, what you would see as instability, even though his hand is always right there holding you up, it is all to train you to get ready for being the biggest type of outcast that could possibly be. And I know this sounds crazy, and I struggle with this on a daily basis, but we should be thankful. We should be thankful that he is willing to not only continue to take care of us regardless of what it looks like to our sinful eyes, but to also make sure that we have the skills necessary to get through the conflagration that's right around the corner. It is going to get what the world calls worse, but you guys, you don't understand. It says, you know, the rocking and reeling of the world and everybody basically losing their mind is all a shell game. And we are the ones called to not only a higher purpose, but a higher level of existence, period. We are called to not care about any and everything that may come before our eyes and trust his Spirit's leading instead. It's a small, still voice. It is not shouting at us like the rest of the world. And if we would just focus, as Paul says, our mind's eye only on our Lord and on the completed task of finishing this life with our faith intact, holding on to him and trusting every word that he gives to us the way he gives to us, not the way we want him to give it to us, we will make it through and we will do excellently. There is no reason for actual despair, no matter how disparaging your life is. There is no reason to give up, because on the other side of giving up is only fire. Right now, accepting our loneliness, deprivation, it's a blessing. It's love. You guys, you'll see soon enough how you'll be the only one who's still able to breathe and have a normal heart rate when everybody else is literally just running around like a chicken with its head cut off. You'll be watching the wicked pay left and right, and you'll know 100% you're in his hand. You just have to trust the process. And again, I can't believe I'm the one saying this. I'll be completely frank. I hate my life. I think I am the worst of the worst. And yet I cannot lie to you and say that I don't know that every last bit of what you are going through, myself and anyone else who fully accepts who he is, what he is doing, and how his plan is supposed to end, this is all pure love. I know that's crazy. I intended for this video to be encouragement because lately, honestly, I'm discouraged. And again, not because I actually think he's not there, or because I think he's abandoned us, or because I think he's, you know, just wanting things to be as hard as possible on us. Not at all. The truth is, guys, it's going to be so much worse. You guys need to take the time now to allow him to clean you up inside out. We're going to stand out like sore thumbs. We're going to be called out near, if not immediately, the moment it really hits the fan. And you guys, this life is a blink of an eye. 7 years. I've been alive for 40, and it feels like each year now is like a blink of the eye. And every single time I wake up, I'm a year older with more gray hair. It's truly a nothing. And eternity is just that, eternity. And we need to hold on to that, because that is our lot. That is our promise. This mess you see around us, all this brown, gray, disgusting pollution, all of this, it's like a crappy commercial we have to sit through until the show begins. And we just have to remember that. And that's as simple as that. I'm praying for all you guys. I know this is a tough time. Things are not only stupid right now, just outright, flat out stupid, but it's annoying and it's ridiculous, and it's like everything is pathetic and rotting, and it's all intentional, and all the powers that be that think that they're getting so much done on the way to their sovereign, their antichrist being put in place, they're all just playing into his hand. So I'm not saying lay back or sit back. I'm saying keep working, but don't lose heart. He is with you. He is always with you. Let me know what you guys think. I know there's a lot of us that are suffering right now. I've tried my best to not just utterly give up on things like this channel, because I know I'm nothing special. I come across as arrogant and kind of mean, and I have no feelings, but the truth is the truth is. And it needs to be spoke plainly, regardless of how many feelings it hurts. It needs to be said, even if it's coming from the tiniest little corner of the internet, just like this. And yeah, things like these will never be a big thing in the devil's world. And I'm okay with that. And I really hope you guys are too. I hope you're okay with being an absolute nothing to the world, because that means so much as far as what we are to God. I love you guys. I hope you're doing well. If y'all need encouragement, share this. If you know anybody that's suffering, share this. They're not alone. I am a tough guy, if you will. And yet I still constantly suffer. And it's intentional. And you are not alone. And we're all going through this. Take heart. Keep going. Don't give up. Talk to you soon.